All right, let's talk about something we all know way too well: procrastination. We're going to dive into the real science behind why our brains love to put things off, and more importantly, what we can actually do about it. So let's just get right into it. Okay, you know the feeling, right? You've got this huge, important project hanging over your head. It is the one thing you're supposed to be doing. And yet, suddenly the urge to alphabetize your spice rack or, yes, organize your sock drawer becomes completely overwhelming. If that sounds familiar, you're definitely not alone. And spoiler alert, it has nothing to do with your sock. You know, the biggest myth we tell ourselves about procrastination is that it's some kind of character flaw. We think, oh, I'm just lazy or I'm terrible at time management. But the science tells a totally different story. It turns out procrastination isn't really a time management problem at all. It's an emotional one. See, we're not actually avoiding the task. We're avoiding the feeling that comes with it. Feelings like stress, maybe boredom, or that little voice of self-doubt. So to really get why we do this, we've got to look inside our own heads. What feels like a simple, conscious choice to just, do it later is actually a full-on war happening between two very different parts of your brain. Okay, think of it this way. You've got two different minds living in your head. First, there's your planning brain. This is your logical, future-oriented self. It's the part that makes New Year's resolutions and wants what's best for you in the long run. But then, you've got your impulsive brain. This part is ancient, it's emotional, and it only cares about one thing: feeling good right now. It's all about immediate relief. And guess which one tends to grab the steering wheel? And yeah, here's the key. When these two parts of your brain are fighting it out, the impulsive brain almost always wins. It's just the default setting. Unless you make a real conscious effort, your brain is going to take the path of least resistance every single time. The path that feels good now. So why does scrolling through TikTok feel a million times better than even just opening that scary-looking spreadsheet? Well, it's because your impulsive brain is getting exactly what it craves: a quick, easy, feel-good hit. This whole thing is driven by something called present bias. It's basically a glitch in our wiring. Our brains are designed to go absolutely crazy for rewards that are right here, right now, and to pretty much ignore rewards that are way off in the future. I mean, that feeling of satisfaction you'll get next week when the project is done, it stands no chance against the dopamine hit of one funny cat video right this second. Let's use an analogy here. Imagine you have two choices in front of you. In one hand, you have nutrition-y nuggets. They're, good for you. They're the healthy choice, the tough task that will pay off later. That's your planning brain's pick. But in the other hand, you've got tasty temps. They're delicious, instantly satisfying, pure junk food for your brain. And that's what your impulsive brain is screaming for. When that choice is right in front of you, the tasty temps just look so much better, don't they? And this is exactly where the downward spiral starts. Your impulsive brain gets that little hit of relief from dodging this stressful task, and it feels so good. So naturally it says, hey, let's do that again. And you think, I'll just take a quick scroll through social media, right? That 5-minute break suddenly stretches into 30 because every little post is another one of those tasty temps. You know what? I'll just check my email first. And before you know it, an hour, maybe 2, has completely vanished. You got that short-term relief, for sure. But that big, scary task, it's still there. And now, it's even scarier because the deadline is that much closer. That feel-good moment? It was a total lie. So if this is such a powerful, baked-in part of our biology, how on earth do we fight it? Well, the first step is to stop doing the one thing that pretty much everyone tries and that pretty much always backfires. Yeah, this is our go-to. We get frustrated with ourselves, we feel guilty, we beat ourselves up, and we say, oh, I just need to be more disciplined. We think the solution is to just grit our teeth and try harder. Basically, a brute force attack on our own brain. But here's the crazy part. Science shows this actually makes everything worse. It's a total paradox. Being hard on yourself for procrastinating is like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. Why? Because all that self-criticism creates stress. And what does our brain do when it feels stressed? It looks for relief. It looks for distraction. So beating yourself up for procrastinating literally makes you more likely to do it again. This whole mess actually has a name. It's called the what the hell effect. It goes like this. You give in to temptation, say you eat a cookie when you're on a diet. Then you feel guilty. And that guilt makes you feel bad, so you think, what the hell, I already blew it, and you eat the whole box to feel better. It is a vicious, vicious cycle of shame and escape. Okay, so if brute force doesn't work and beating ourselves up only makes it worse, then what actually works? Well, the answer is to stop fighting your brain and start working with it. We need to treat the root cause of the problem, not just the symptom. And that starts by remembering the fundamental truth we talked about earlier. You cannot solve an emotional problem with a to-do list or a fancy productivity app. You need emotional strategies. Okay, so the number one feeling we're trying to escape is being overwhelmed, right? So the solution is to make the task way less scary. Don't think about writing that 20-page report, no. Your goal is to open a new document and write a single sentence. That's it. Your impulsive brain looks at that and thinks, okay, I can handle that. It's not a threat, so it doesn't freak out. The key is to find the absolute tiniest first step and commit to doing just that one thing. Next up, you have to stop relying on willpower in the heat of the moment. Let's be honest, your future self, the one who's tempted, is weak. So your present self has to be smart. You need to be the architect of your own environment. To design a space where your future self will actually succeed. It's called pre-commitment. And this is really simple stuff. It just means making those tasty tempts harder to get to. If your phone is the enemy, don't just put it on silent, put it in a different room entirely. If you get lost on the internet, use one of those apps that blocks distracting websites for an hour. The idea is to add friction. By making the distraction harder to get to, you actually make doing the work the easiest option. You flip the script. Now this is a game changer. It's called an if-then plan. You're basically pre-programming your brain for when temptation inevitably strikes. So instead of just vaguely hoping you'll stay focused, you make a specific contract with yourself. If I feel the urge to check my phone, then I will work on my task for just 2 more minutes. It's like writing a little piece of code for your brain. It automates your response so you don't have to make a tough decision in a moment of weakness. When you really get down to it, motivation isn't some magical trait you either have or you don't. It's just a balancing act. And every single strategy we've just talked about is designed to tip those scales in your favor. You make the tasks smaller, so the reward feels closer. And you make the temptations harder to get to, so your impulsive brain has less power. And maybe the most powerful tool of all is the one that feels the most wrong: self-compassion. Forgiving yourself when you slip up and procrastinate isn't about letting yourself off the hook. It is the only way to break that what the hell cycle we talked about. It stops the shame spiral in its tracks, which reduces the very stress that's causing you to procrastinate in the first place. It actually helps you get back on track with more motivation, not less. So the next time you find yourself staring at that sock drawer when you should be working, just try something different. Instead of beating yourself up, take a breath. Acknowledge the feeling you're running from. Forgive yourself for being human. And then just ask yourself, what is the absolute smallest, easiest, kindest first step I can take right now? You might just be surprised where it leads.